Hello, welcome back to my channel. This is the Paper Pumpkin, the August Paper Pumpkin Sweet Sunflowers kit. This is an alternative card, and I said in the previous videos, I am cutting them up. Usually I make them how they are instructed, but this was just too pretty, and I could get more cards out of it. So what we're going to do today is work with the envelope. Okay, so to start with, we're just going to cut this. So I'm just going to bring my cutter in and just shave it off the edge there to cut it open. So now we have it open. And we are just going to cut a little before the fold here. We're going to save this piece. We'll do some punching on that one. Okay, so now we have this. And we're going to go ahead and cut the flap off where the fold is right there. I'm going to go ahead and cut that off and make sure the fold is not on this image here. Okay, so we're going to make 2 cards out of this. So to start with, we'll get this one to size. This one is going to be, move that out of my way. This one's going to be 4 by 5 1/4. So I'm just going to shave it off until I get the picture where I want it, and to get it to the right size. I'm saving as much of that flower motif as possible. So there's that. And then we're going to cut it. I'm going to cut off from the bottom. This is 5 1/4. So I want as much of the flowers as I can get. So there's that piece for one of the cards that we're going to make. Okay, and then the flap, we are going to cut this piece down to 2 inches by 5 1/4. So I just kind of cut where I take that round off. Well, first I need to straighten the sides, so I straighten it by just going into the corner and then flipping it over and doing the same thing there. So I have a straight edge on both of those sides. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut off that rounded piece. Okay, so we have that, and so we need it, and we still have this line here where the envelope is. So I'm going to turn that around. I'm going to cut that down to 2 inches. I'm sorry, not 2 inches, 1 3/4. So we've got it 1 3/4 wide, and now we need it to be 5 inches. So I'm just going to cut from the bottom. Okay, and we have the strip for the other card. Okay, so the first card's pretty simple. I am using, I believe this is Melon Mambo. Yep. The Melon Mambo is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and we're gonna, I have this scored at 5 1/2. Yes, scored at 5 1/2 and cut at 4 1/4 wide. And I'm gonna use this punch, which actually is part of the, let me grab the stamp set really quick. It is part, I just reorganized my stamps. I want to pull out my book. It is a sweet, and it's just escaped my mind what it is. Lovely and Linen Sweet. So this suite comes with some papers, an embossing folder, the quadrifoil. This is very, very pretty. It comes with the stamp set and the punch that cuts this out, and there's a stamp that goes with, that you can stamp on top of the punch out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, I already have some of these pre-punched. I use my scraps to punch and go through and punch and die cut and stuff different pieces. So I'm actually going to take this envelope and I'm going to punch out that piece as well. Now, since the envelope is thin, I want to mount that on there, but first I'm going to go ahead and we're going to stamp it. I'm going to bring in another piece here to just kind of not get this piece dirty here. And we're going to go ahead and do some stamping. Okay, so we're going to use the Lovely and Lasting stamp set, and we're going to use the decorative piece to stamp on there. And I'm going to do that in Blackberry Bliss. Just try to line it up the best I can. Put that away because that'll be the only time for this card that we're stamping with that. Actually, I take that back. We will be stamping with Blackberry Bliss again. Clean that off. Side. Okay, so what oh yes, and then I'm going to stamp my greeting, wishing you so much happiness, from this stamp set that comes in the Paper Pumpkins kit, and we're going to stamp that in the soft suede that it came in, or that came with it. Just going to kind of center it. There we go. Clean that off. And then we're going to take these bees. I love these bee stamps. I'm going to take this little bee that's flying. And I'm also going to stamp that in soft suede right under it. There's our little bee. Okay, so to give this more substance, we're going to glue that on top of that white piece. Okay. And we've got a minute just to make sure that it's lined up as it should be. Okay, so we've got that done. And then what I want to do is go ahead and stamp in my card. I am going to use Blackberry Bliss again. And I'm going to stamp on the inside corner with this really pretty flower stamp, I guess. So I'm going to put one there. And then I'm just going to angle that and touch the branches and put one right there. And then I'm going to do that bee again. In the soft suede. And just kind of stamp him flying away. So that's the inside of the card. That is done. Now all of our stamping is done for this card. So I'm going to go ahead and assemble it. So we'll bring in our mat. Our mat is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So I'm going to go ahead and mat this together. Sorry if you can hear the saw noise. My husband and his friend are working out in the yard building I think it's going to be a greenhouse. Okay, so then we're just going to put this on and mat this. It's going to have a thin border. Let's move that in place where I want it. And then we're going to go ahead and put this on the card. Okay. Oops. I got a little forceful with it. Okay, there we go. All right. So now that we've got that, now the honeycomb pieces that came in the kit, this is a piece of that, and I'm just going to take my seal. This is my Stampin' Seal Plus, and put a little bit of that right there to kind of hold that in place. See, I think I want it this way. There we go. And then this, I'm actually going to put on dimensionals. I do use a lot of dimensionals. You probably don't have to, but and release the paper from it. And then place that on that gold honeycomb piece. Okay, and then we're gonna have, I need one bee. Grab my take your pick tool. I am going to put that one on a little dimensional. I'm going to put a little dimensional on that one as well. And then we're going to go ahead and I'm going to put him, I think, right there over that flower. And then I'm going to go ahead and take some of these. I have these gold pearls. And just embellish this with 3 of them. And there we go. There is card number 1. Here is the other version that I made. And I have the bee here. And this is with just the white instead of the envelope. Okay. So there's one alternative. The next one is using this piece here. So you're going to need a piece of Blackberry Bliss that is 2 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And then you will need a mat, and I'm using Mossy Meadow, that is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And then this strip, of course, is 1 3/4 by 5. And then I'm using, again, this top fold. Okay, so for this one, we're going to use Mossy Meadow. We're going to do tone on tone stamping. So what we're going to do is just take this leaf and just kind of twist it everywhere and just get a leaf pattern all over this piece of cardstock. Be as random as you think you want to be. It's a random pattern. And I am not going to stamp all of this, so you don't have to watch me stamp it, but you're going to cover that with stamps. And then choose an embossing folder. I chose the brick embossing folder. And go ahead, and we're going to go ahead and emboss it. And this is what it's going to look like when it's embossed with that leaf pattern on the background. You're going to also, I already did this ahead of time too, is take this stamp here and stamp tone on tone with the Blackberry Bliss, if that's what you're using, whatever you're using, on the background, just to give it a little bit of a pattern. Okay, so the first thing I want to do here, we've got those pieces ready, we've got the card ready. I am going to, we're going to do a little bit of embossing, heat embossing. And we're going to do it with the butterflies and some gold. So I have my own homemade, I don't remember what this is called, but I have a homemade one that you're going to rub. Embossing Buddy, I guess, is what they have. I'm going to get theirs that they have available with this current mini catalog. I'm just going to get that all over the place. And then we're going to go ahead and I'm going to use both bees that are in this kit. So we're going to have one bee going there. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and get some gold on that and heat that up. And clear away any spots I don't want. And then I'm going to go ahead and heat set that. I'm just going to turn to the side here and use my heat gun. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and clean that off and put the other bee on there. I think I'm going to put him right there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead. That looks good. A little bit right there. I'm going to go ahead and get that one done. There we go. Okay. Let that cool while I move this other stuff out of the way. You do need to let it cool in case you touch it. I have done that and it smears it. And you have to redo it. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to still let that finish cooling, is I'm going to go ahead and attach this embossed piece to this card base. And I do want to make sure I get a little bit more glue than I probably would normally put on it, just because it's embossed, so I can make sure it sticks to the card base. There we go. And now we're going to go ahead, I think this is cool enough, and we're going to go ahead and attach this to this piece of Blackberry Bliss. Okay, that looks pretty good. And then we'll attach this strip here to this card base. Just off to the side, leaving about ½ inch approximately, kind of centered on there. I'm just going to hold it for a minute just because it is embossed. Now for the greeting, I've already heat embossed this with gold, and I heat embossed the sentiment thank you that's included in the stamp set. And we're going to just go ahead and do a banner cut on it with our scissors. Okay, so there we have our thank you. I am going to put, we always have lots of scraps of these little strips. So I'm going to go ahead and put a piece behind it just because this is taller. So I'm probably going to cut it right about there. Make it a little thinner, just so that it kind of stays level and it's not as bumpy. Okay, just gonna check that out and see how that feels. I think I'm gonna put 2 behind there actually. That's another way to use, to get some height and dimension, is just to use some of your scraps. Okay, we're going to go ahead and stick that down. And there you go. And there's a beautiful thank you card made with our envelope. So well, and here's the other one. And so we have 2 alternative projects. From one envelope, we get 2 cards. And here are the other 2. All right, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching. Keep a lookout or stay tuned for the next alternative. I'm working on them right now. They're just about done, so I should have them up here in just a little bit. Thank you for watching.